Hey everybody, welcome back to NSB. Last episode we got this back half of this tractor all put back together. So everything back here is pretty much finished. Now got to get this motor rebuilt so we get the motor back on. And then we can get the front end on and we'll be just about finished with it. So on this episode, we're going to be tearing this motor apart. So let's get after it. So right here's the old motor. Quite nasty, but I'm going to push it out here and we're going to pressure wash it real quick. Well, believe it or not, it cleaned up pretty nice. So I'm going to let that fan blow this water off of it, dry off a little bit, and then we're going to tear it apart. Quite clean. So I got the valve cover pulled off, and I noticed this is out of place. And from the looks of it, it goes here. Broke off. How long's that been sitting there? Rubbing. Wow. So looking at this shiny spot where it's been laying down there rubbing the whole time. And the big thing about it, there's a hole in the center. And there's a hole in the side where oil comes up and squirts out. So some of that wasn't getting oil for quite a while. So I'm removing the piston sleeves. I got real lucky. I bought this kit. It's for pressing in races. And it comes with a whole set of different ones. Biggest one. I mean, I don't know how, but you can see that. Perfect. Can't get any better. It might even help putting them in. I don't know. So the top's got a little cut to it, so it may not put them in. I may have to use something bigger to put them in. But taking them out, perfect. You do got to beat the shit out of it though. Kind of see down in the block a little bit. To be old as it is, you know, the rust is very minimal. I mean, it's a little rusty, but there's not much buildup. we'll get all that pressure washed out. I'll get a little brush, I'll get that cleaned up. It's gonna look new in there. Hell yeah. So guys, when I first started taking the motor apart, you know, we took the valve cover off and there was a bolt laying down there, and I showed y'all a video of it, or a spot of it where it fell off, turned sideways, and was rubbing. Don't know how long it's been broke, but the bolt goes right here. And as you see, I just took an easy out, drilled that. Woo, that's hot. I had to heat that because it wasn't coming out, so I had to heat it to get it out. But pretty much, this bolt, I don't know if this thing will focus it or not, but right in the center of it, there's a hole that comes up and it stops, and then there's a hole right here on the side that comes out on the side. So that bolt was here holding down. Let me pick this hot thing up, set it down over here. So as you can see, the valve train, all the rocker arms, pretty much go on like that, all the push rods, and that bolt was right here. So how that bolt works is the oil comes up from the bottom on the motor, or on the block, comes straight up, comes through that little bolt, that little hole, goes into this piece. This piece has a hole in it in the tube, and it fills this tube up, and that's what gets all the rocker arms oil. So that bolt was broke. Oil had to be, and it was laying down here, so oil just had to be blowing up out that hole, going down in here. Maybe it was enough pressure, it was squirting, and it was trying to keep some oil on this. Because, I mean, I'm looking at it, and everything that I'm seeing, I don't see it scored. Matter of fact, there's still oil in there. I may have got lucky, caught it at the right time. But man, that thing is awful polished. That's been running for a little while, so, you know, I could have mowed the yard 3 or 4 times if that broke, not knowing it. So this motor was on the way of destruction. If that would have kept going, something's going to give us a failure eventually, because no oil getting up here. So, you know, interbind dimension, or whatever you want to call it, my decision to redo this tractor couldn't have been a better timing, because if I would let's say just fix that hydraulic pump and say, oh, I'm gonna start using it again, we'd have had a big problem. So doing what I've done, I saved this motor, saved the tractor, so hopefully I don't screw up putting this motor back together and still have a tragedy. But I wanted y'all to see that. So we got that fixed. I really hate using heat, especially on a cast part, because you're taking a chance of cracking it. But you know, this thing's gotten hot, been hot before. Maybe not that hot, but it's getting hot every day when you start it. And I only localized it in one little spot. So once this piece cools, I can measure that stud, because unfortunately I've looked around. I haven't looked real hard, but my Steiner, I didn't see it nowhere in there for that stud. So I'm probably going to find me a stud that don't have that hole in it, and I'm going to end up drilling me those 2 holes back. I've already had the size of the hole, so I know what it's supposed to be. I can put it on the milling machine, get it directly in the center, and that way we'll get our oil going back into the tractor. I'm just wondering if that bolt threaded down and clocked, but I don't see how that could be. I don't think it makes a difference which way. I'm pretty sure to go all the way around and go in. It's funny how there's no gasket there. You'd think oil would bleed out, but I guess that much pressure shooting up through there, it's going to go. All right, so we have the block all cleaned up. I've got all the old steel stuff out. There's seals that go in right along here for them sleeves to go back in. But we've got this whole block cleaned up. Let me flip her back up. See the top side. It's all nice and ready to go back together. So there we have it. This block is clean and it's ready to go back on. Once I get these sleeves knocked back in, then I can start with the crank, pistons, head, all the stuff that's supposed to go back on it. But unfortunately, we ran out of time. That's all for this video. Next one will be reassembly of the motor.